This is the Verbal Arts Centre, an organisation that offers different aspects of media to the community, whether it be literacy provision, written, oral, celebration of work of published authors and artists, local events and gatherings. This is a programme which will give an insight into what Verbal Arts Centre is about, its history and what the future holds for them in Culture Year next year.
The Verbal Arts Centre is an educational charity. We do lots of work with community relations, literacy, just generally working within allowing people to tell their story and empower them to do that, to talk about the issues that affect their lives, and in that way to allow them to maybe improve their life through education or just expressing themselves. There's a gentleman by the name of Sam Burnside who first set the Verbal Arts Centre up. We weren't always in this building. We used to be over in a building just over beside the cathedral. Yeah, it used to be, there was a building just beside that, a little red brick one at the top of Artillery Street. That was where it was first based. Then in, I think, 1997, they bought this building and renovated it, and we've been here ever since. Well, as I said, the Centre's purpose is to allow people to tell their story. As an educational charity, we aim to improve people's lives. I mean, we're not like frontline services like you know, the ambulance service or whatever, but there are lots and lots of social issues that the arts can help with. Things like literacy. We do literacy classes. I think 25% of the population is functionally illiterate, and we do literacy not only with adults who may have been failed by the school system, but we do courses and workshops for children to try and get them early and sort some of those problems out. We do community relations work, bring in Catholic and Protestant schools together. We do work with older people. We've done projects with the homeless. We've done all sorts of projects just to try a mixture of different things, working in the arts and giving people access to the ability to express themselves in different ways. We mainly work in the Derry, Londonderry, Tyrone area. We have done quite a lot of work in Donegal though at times as well, and we have done projects that stretch right as far as Belfast. So we've done work all over Northern Ireland, to be honest with you, but the majority of our work tends to be within the northwest. The centre itself is a beautiful building, and we have lots of art pieces. There is a Louis Le Brocquet thing on the floor, the floor of the foyer. We have a Louis Le Brocquet reprint of his Tain. We have some gorgeous art that celebrates the diversity of literature from Ireland. We have a piece which has handwritten work by artists, writers like Seamus Heaney or those kind of people. We also have a piece of art by Colin Dark, which is on the wall, and it is James Joyce's Ulysses is written. The entirety of Ulysses is written on the walls of the Verbal Arts Centre. And we have, there's poetry. There's lots of books and things for tourists to come in and browse and buy if they're interested. And we also have a cafe, so there are things for tourists to see and do. Our educational programmes tend to be for schools. We do some work which is for community groups, but that tends to be work that's not programmed. They will come to us and tell us that they want to do a specific thing, and we'll write a programme for them. Educational work is things like our What Does That Book Sound Like project, where kids come in and they make their own audio book, or the comic book workshops. We find that especially good with little boys. Boys don't tend to read, and part of the problem with boys reading is that there isn't really as much reading material out there for boys that's good. Girls, there's lots and lots of really good books for girls. There don't tend to be as many for boys, so comic books kind of fill that gap a bit. We will be doing lots and lots of events, especially for City of Culture. There'll be tons of stuff going on in 2013 in the centre. We do events like this whenever we can, which means whenever we can afford to. With the recession on, the amount of money that's there for arts programmes has drastically fallen, but the City of Culture is giving us an opportunity next year to do a really big, really bold programme, so keep your eyes tuned for next year.
Here are some key figures in the industry at the minute speaking about verbal arts and Derry on the day of the Poetry Peace Camp.
Yes, well, I am a presenter and a journalist for BBC Newsline. We have various bulletins throughout the day that you might see me popping up on, either first thing in the morning, lunchtime, 6:30 or 10:25. But the best bit about the job is getting out and about and coming to Derry, and that's why I'm here today to do the whole interview with Fiona Shaw for the television this evening.
Well, it's with 2012 Olympiad and also, of course, capital city of culture here in Derry. And what it is that we're going to put 8 installations of headlands will be suddenly overtaken by huge groups of tents. So these tents are sort of igloo-like tents, which will be like a little village or encampment, like an encampment. But at dusk, the light will go down and the tents will start to glow, and from the tents, if you walk through them, be you in the Isle of Lewis or obviously up here in the north of Ireland in is White Bay Strand, you'll be able to hear poems burbling out from the tents, and those poems are poems gathered from the people of the regions of the British Isles, from Scottish people, Welsh people, Irish people, Cornish people, and they'll all be speaking their own accents and their languages. And if you want to hear particular poems, you might go to silence, you'll hear the sea, and then after a while you might hear a beautiful aria of a poem. So we won't probably feature every poem that was ever written, but we are trying to get a good texture of people's voices with poetry. So I'm here to encourage people to write poetry, love poems, to encourage people to speak them, to upload them onto the website, which is www.peacecamp2012.com. Go on there, press audio, put in a poem that you love, that you've written, or one that you remember, or suggest a poem. Say, I wish you'd read Robert Graves, suggest something. This website will be kept in perpetuity by the British Library forever, so you will be held forever if you make a love poem this year. So it's a good year for love.
I don't know that it's massively important to the community, not in the way that schools or hospitals or somewhere like that is important, but I do think that the work would be a less interesting and less fun place without the arts and without literature and without comic books and without poetry and without these frivolous things that maybe they're not important in the way that a doctor is important, but I do think that they serve a purpose. I think, as far as I know, we will be providing the majority of the literature programme for the City of Culture. I'm sure there are other elements provided by other people, but from what I've seen so far, we seem to be doing most of the literature stuff. So there will be 6 mini festivals on genre themes, things like crime fiction, graphic novels, etc. And we'll be bringing loads of authors and illustrators and things over for those. We're going to have a huge reading programme where we're trying to get the whole city reading. We're going to be publishing some books and some comics and those kind of things. So there'll be loads and loads of stuff happening next year. But definitely keep your eyes peeled, and there'll be opportunities to get involved coming up. The video games night was actually for Culture Night. We wanted to do something that would bring a different audience in than maybe the Verbal Arts Centre usually gets.
Like a comic festival?
A little bit like a comic book festival. I mean, we're up here on the walls, and it's kind of an imposing building, and people don't feel like they can wander in off the street, especially not younger people. And the comic book festival has kind of changed that perception for us a little bit, and the video game night on Culture Night was another push in that direction.
To bring a bit of fun to the centre.
A bit of fun to the centre and make us not seem quite so intimidating and po-faced and poetry and literature. So hopefully that got a few people in the doors who've never been in here before. There aren't very many businesses like this is the problem. If you're interested in getting into the creative industries and you're at school, the best thing you can possibly do is probably some work experience, because experience will stand you in really, really good stead. It looks great on a CV, and it gets you contacts, gets you people who are working in the industry already, and when you're ready to go, they know who you are and they know what you're capable of. So I would say get involved on a voluntary basis. If you've got a Saturday free, then offer your services to somebody who's doing something you find interesting.